I'm a woman, I'm a Jew, and I'm a former board member of the National Rifle Association. And I know there are people out there who would hurt me just because I breathe. What I refuse to be is a victim. As long as I am able to carry my firearm for protection, I won't be a victim. But there are far too many places I cannot carry my firearm to protect myself or my family. I teach a lot of women how to shoot for self-defense. I specialize in teaching women. There are many single moms and many with several small children. They can't carry a gun when they take their kids to school. Who's going to do it for them? And this is where most of our shootings occur, in gun-free zones.
The other thing I just want to focus on, I know it's a scary thing for some people, but again, we have a lot of success we've built on, is I believe we need to remove gun-free zones from K-12 schools and implement the same kinds of things we've done with campus carry. I think we can be successful with that, and I think it would have a tremendous impact in public safety and safety of our children.
As for gun-free zones, what better target does that make for a crazed individual? It's a shooting gallery for anyone that wants a free target shoot for 2 to 10 or so minutes before the authorities show up. Sometimes even if there is an on-duty armed officer on the spot already. I remind you of the incident in Florida when one such officer did not go into action in the Parkland shooting.
I've been a peace officer for over 10 years. I am now retired. I have been a school board member, school board president. I attend all my school functions. I can't carry a gun in there to protect my family, my children, or my neighbors. I respectfully request and ask our legislators to allow us to have our Second Amendment rights. Thank you.
I seek your attention on the issue where law-abiding citizens are unable to carry with them in places viewed as a target. Shopping centers, schools, and locations of entertainment with 51% posted signs, and certain places on campuses. Campuses can still carry in areas with can still ban carry in areas with 30.06 signs. Please make sure campus carry applies everywhere on campus.
I'm a disabled vet, a father, retired from the University of Texas system, and a member of Gun Owners of America. You've heard it before, I'll repeat it again. Over 94% of mass murders have happened in gun-free zones. Murder is already illegal everywhere, so this shows that another law does nothing to stop someone intent on killing. When honest citizens aren't allowed to protect themselves or their family members, mass murderers meet no resistance. You should also expand the campus carry to include grades K through 12, allowing any licensed to carry holder to carry concealed. When I taught in public schools, there was only one resource officer for the whole school of over 1,200 students. There were 3 major hallways in my building, and there was no way the one officer could get to a violent encounter in time if the officer was not in the right place at the right time. There were several of us teachers who would have been glad to have had the ability to immediately protect our students.
Expand campus carry K through 12.
There are actually several hundred instructors certified by DPS to teach this course, but many school districts they're not aware that it exists, and doesn't seem to get a lot of attention despite the fact that it's a very good program. Worse, adoption of this program is severely limited by school district policies that prohibit permit holders and graduates of this course from carrying on school property. The reality is active shooter incidents in White Settlement, Sutherland Springs, and Tyler are all examples of armed individuals taking action and saving lives. Right? When police arrive in minutes, those people can respond in seconds. And the data says, up to 6 people are shot every minute in an active shooter incident. So time is a factor. More importantly, data from schools in which permit holders have been allowed to carry report no problems. And there have been 0 incidents at those schools in which case police have accidentally shot armed people. That's a common fear in this program. But basically, when the carry permit law was passed in 1995, cities were told you can't pass preemptive laws overriding state law because the Constitution says only the state can regulate the wearing of arms. Yet, since then, public school districts have been allowed to override and preempt state law over and over again, denying permit holders, teachers, particularly staff, even visitors, the right to carry on school property, which I think is quite unconstitutional, unacceptable. School district administrators are not the experts in firearms training.
7 years ago, the Protection of Texas Children's School Act was signed into law. Shortly after, school districts across Texas started allowing teachers to get trained and carry concealed handguns. And despite all the a teacher is going to shoot a student or a student is going to steal a teacher's handgun narratives, mainly from groups like Moms Demand Action, there have been zero issues. However, there are teachers out there who want to carry but cannot because of a school board filled with trustees that have a high and mighty attitude. I am here representing myself, 13 teachers, and an assistant principal in the Clear Creek Independent School District who are having their rights restricted by these type of people. Ever since the Santa Fe High School shooting, which was about 10 miles south of CCISD, we have been trying to persuade the board to adopt a guardian program. One person on the board, who has been for almost my entire lifespan, has quote unquote told me, "Son, as long as I'm in charge, no teacher will ever be able to carry a weapon." These women all have their LTC and carry every day wherever they are legally able to. 4 of them are Army and Marine veterans. It is wrong for them having to beg meeting after meeting to try and get permission to exercise their right to self-defense while they work. Instead of getting school district approval, they should be able to just enroll in one of the available state certified classes and after completion be able to carry on their person the next day at work. Not only should teachers and staff be able to carry, but parents should be able to as well. I am part of the Watchdog program at my kids' school, along with other parents, and volunteer as many hours as we can throughout the week. We, as well as other LTC holders, should not have to disarm before entering the premises. Please change this so they, as well as many others in Texas, can actually protect themselves and their students when needed, and end gun-free zones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nunez.
We need to remove gun-free zones from schools, preferably allow people like me to be able to protect my brother and sister if I decide to go pick them up at school, or allow the teachers to do their jobs, which is not only to educate the students, but also to defend the students.
Regarding gun-free zones, they should be scaled back to unrestricted to licensed to carry holders. We protect our banks, politicians, and celebrities with firearms, so why don't we protect our children in schools with firearms by responsible gun owners as well, and any other gun-free zones aside from schools.
Another thing that I'm really big on, this one impacts me personally, is the gun-free zones, especially the campus carry for the K-12 schools. I have a 17-year-old son. As soon as I go in those doors, I have to disarm. That means I either leave it in my truck or I leave it at the house. That just means that, honestly, that anybody could walk in. As you know, and other people have stated, criminals do not listen to the laws. They have no reason to, because they're just evil people. And therefore, we need to allow our parents, teachers, whoever they may be, to be able to carry so that they can protect their children. And this includes daycares as well. When people have to disarm and leave their vehicle out in the car, what might happen? I mean, it's just ludicrous in my opinion.
Our police work hard and are rightfully praised for their efforts, but they can't be everywhere, especially in 6 seconds. This made me realize that while churches in Texas are not normally gun-free zones, many areas are, including some of our most vulnerable places like schools, hospitals, etc. Even if a venue has armed security, it often isn't enough to protect our most vulnerable citizens. We should eliminate gun-free zones and pass concealed carry. Thank you, Senator Hall, for filing a school carry bill last session. Let's pass it in this session.
Now, I am not a LTC holder yet. I'm only 19. I'm unable to, but I'm here to talk about, of course, school shootings. Now, as you know, many youth today are very nervous about their school being attacked by someone, especially one of their peers who just wants to kill many of their other peers. It's just from their own school. They just want to shoot them. And as you know, 94% of shootings happen in gun-free zones.
I'm going to speak a little bit on gun-free zones. They're absolutely nothing except a victimization station. Right now, schools are leaving our teachers helpless to an active shooter. Many of them, all they can do is lock the door and go cower in a corner.
My wife is a teacher and a coach. I find it ridiculous that I myself, as a licensed to carry individual, cannot carry on her campus. I have to disarm. The fact that we have Stop the Bleed kicks in schools, but you can't carry a gun to prevent that from even being necessary is ridiculous.
So you have a decision. You can corral your most vulnerable into killing zones with merely a sign to protect them and hope that emergency personnel arrive in time to save a few. Or you can do away with gun-free zones and allow those with training and temperament to defend themselves and their fellow Texans. Again, please end gun-free zones in Texas in the feudal security theater they represent.
My name is Rachel Malone, and I'm representing myself and Gun Owners of America. Texans are reaching out to me every day in overwhelming numbers like you're seeing today. And their top priorities, again, reflect what you've heard today. Constitutional carry. If you legally own a handgun, you should be able to carry that handgun in public without a license. End gun-free zones, and what I hear most often on those are extend campus carry to K-12 schools. Thank you, Senator Holland. We need to move forward with that. Fix the campus carry issues like Sebastian mentioned. Because our current law gives less freedom than Creighton's original bill.
Among my written testimony, you'll find a bill I've been working on for the last 5 years that has earned the support of many of my colleagues in education as well as Gun Owners of America. Essentially what the bill does is removes the restriction on LTC holders from carrying concealed in K-12 schools and prohibits public districts from barring their employees from carrying concealed while on the job. I'm an employee at Dallas ISD. I've worked in schools for a decade. I also have a daughter in elementary school. That means that this is important to me personally because nothing is more important to me than my little girl and my ability to keep coming home to her at the end of the day. Now, we know that most casualties in a mass violence event happen in the first minute. There isn't a police force on the planet that can respond that fast. So we need to be able to respond in the moment. And when I say we, I mean everyone. If you can carry at the grocery store, the playground, a movie theater, or the state fair, there is no excuse for not being able to carry at your child's school, at an after-school event, or in the district in which you work, whether you are a teacher, a visitor, or the janitor. No one is going to fight harder to end a deadly threat than the people directly in its path, as the victims at Columbine and Parkland discovered after waiting for help that never came until after the shooting stopped. For those of you with the what if insert bad thing happens here questions, this is not a new idea. 4 other states have done this for decades without any casualties or problems arising from allowing people to carry in public schools the same way they do safely and responsibly everywhere else. What if a student grabs a gun? Hasn't happened. What if a teacher goes nuts and shoots his students? Hasn't happened. What is it going to do to the educational environment? Nothing. It hasn't done anything. This is a decades-long success story that Texas needs to adopt. And I want to thank Senator Hall for filing this bill during the last regular session, and I hope the rest of you, as well as my legislators, Angela Paxton and Candy Noble, will have the courage to stand for our right to self-preservation and do the same thing in the coming session.